What we're going to do is we're going to take what we did last time, where we're writing equations in standard form, from standard form to vertex form, and we're going to graph them. So we're going to be using completing the square, just like what we did last time. What's different about this is that normally we've done graphs where the quadratic goes up and it goes down. In this case, we're also going to be graphing quadratics that go right and they go left. How we determine if it's right or left is whenever it's x equals. How we determine if it's up or down is whenever it's y equals. So in this case, it's x equals. So our first step, since our a value is 1, is to find the new c value. So 6 divided by 2 squared. And that gives us 9. So we have x equals y squared plus 6y plus 9 plus 10. And then we add the 9 on the other side. We're going to factor it. Two numbers that multiply together give us 9. Add up to 6 would be 3 and 3. So we have y plus 3 squared. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get the x by itself by subtracting the 9. And so that gives us x equals y plus 3 squared and then plus 1. Now, our vertex here is a little tricky because vertex x is always first and y is second. Our x value is the 1. Our y value is with the y. Now, because it's in a parenthesis, it's always the opposite, so that would be negative 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to plot that. Now, remember, after we plot the vertex, which is 1, negative 3, we have to decide if it's going to go up, down, left, or right. Since it's x equals, it's going to go left or right. Since our a value is a positive, it means it's going to go right. So we're going to go to the right 1, and then up 1 and down 1. And that right there gives us our quadratic. Now, if we're looking at the next one, what's going to be different about this is y equals. So we have y equals negative 2x squared plus 8x minus 5. Since I have an a value, I'm going to factor out the negative 2. So I factor out the negative 2, and I get x squared minus 4x. I'm going to find my new c value. So I'm going to take the negative 4 divided by 2 and square it, which gives me a 4. So I have y equals negative 2, x squared minus 4x plus 4. And then I have minus 5. And on the other side, I'm going to add negative 8. And remember, the reason that I'm adding negative 8 is because when we add the 4 on the right side, it's in a parenthesis, and outside the parenthesis is a negative 2. So negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. I'm going to factor. Two numbers that multiply together give me 4. Add up to negative 4 is negative 2, negative 2. If we're doing this correctly, it's always going to be the same. So we have negative 8 plus y equals negative 2, x minus 2 squared minus 5. Then I add the 8, and I get negative 2, x minus 2 squared plus 3. When I find the vertex is going to be the opposite, so that would be 2, and then what we have is the 3. So my vertex is 2, 3. Since it's y equals, it's going to go up or down. Since my a value is negative 2, I'm going to go down 2 to the right and to the left. Now, looking at the next ones. I'm going to factor out my a value. In this case, my a value is negative 1. So I get x squared plus 2x. Then I'm going to find my new c value. So c is equal to 2 over 2 squared, which is 1. So I have y equals negative 1, x squared plus 2x plus 1, and then plus 3. On the other side, I'm going to add a negative 1. And the reason that it's a negative 1 is if we're looking closely, we see that we're adding a 1, but on the outside of the parentheses, a negative 1. And negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. We're going to factor it. Two numbers that multiply together give us 1, add up to 2, and of course it would be 1 and 1. So what we have is negative 1 plus y equals negative 1. We have x plus 1 squared plus 3. I'm going to add the 1, so I have y equals negative 1, x plus 1 squared, and then plus 4. So my vertex is going to be negative 1 and 4. So I have negative 1 and 4. Y equals means it goes up or down. Since my a value is negative, that means it's going to go down. So it goes down 1 to the right and to the left. And that right there gives me my quadratic. Okay, looking at letter D. I'm going to get the x by itself. So I have x equals 3y squared minus 12y plus 12. My a value is 3, so I'm going to factor out a 3. And that gives me y squared minus 4y. Then I'm going to find my new c value. So that would be negative 4 divided by 2, and I'm going to square it, which is 4. So I have x equals 3, y squared minus 4y plus 4. And then I have plus 12. Because the 4 is on the right side and there's a 3 outside of it, I'm going to add 12 to the other side because 3 times 4 is 12. Then I'm going to factor it. Two numbers that multiply together give me 4. Add up to negative 4 would be negative 2, negative 2. Once again, if we're doing this correctly, it should always be the same number. Then what I'm going to do is subtract the 12, and so the 12s cancel. And I have x equals 3 and then y minus 2 squared. So my vertex, the x value is 0 and the y value is a positive 2 because it's always the opposite. So I have 0, 2. My a value is 3. Notice it's x equals. X equals is left or right. Since the 3 is positive, it's going to go to the right 3, up and down. 1,